Once again, welcome to Internet Traffic Kings. I'm the big Fabu John Fondi. We're broadcasting from the studio here at UNLV in fabulous Las Vegas. This is episode, believe it or not, show 16. And I'll tell you, we couldn't have done that without our executive producer, the Click Father, Kevin DiVincenzi. Always a dance going on, always a song kind of spurring in your heart. So, Kevin, it's great to have you with us. And I want to remind our viewers that this is a non-ad supported show. So it's kind of a free gift, if you will, this great information. And you can help us out, though. If you wouldn't mind giving us a 5-star rating on Apple Podcast, go to internettraffickings.com and do some posting up there as looking at the episodes. Spotify is also a good place to hear it. And then you can actually see our chiming faces on YouTube. Our YouTube channel. All episodes are up there, and great guests. You can go back and just check out the guests and have some fun with that. And Kevin, I got to really thank you. I mean, you would normally charge $1,000 an hour for this information that you give out, and you're kind of giving this as a free service to people out there. And in these tired, trying, troubled times that we have, 4 T's, by the way, if you're counting.
I know, I saw, yeah, you got the bonus.
It's great to see somebody out there that's got a big heart, and you certainly do. And why do you do it?
Oh, just to give back, John. Just to give back to the industry, and to get good information out there, because there's not a lot of good places to get information. So to have a central place where we have good guests, real guests that have a lot of experience. As you see, most of our guests have 15 plus years in the industry, so they've been through a lot, reinvented themselves several times, and are where they are today.
And I think that's the key right there. When you've been in the business this long, you're going to make mistakes, and sometimes those mistakes are somebody else's good information, and you can share that information as a mentor with people. And don't stay in a rut. Reinvent yourself if you have to, and because I think we're going to see more and more shenanigans going on, for lack of a better word. And we certainly don't get political on the show, but sometimes you just got to be real and understand that hey, let's stay one step ahead of it and trying to stay one step ahead of it, and instead of trying to catch up and reinventing yourself is a lot of what we talk about on the show here. And some of these great guests that we have on the show are great places to start. And when I got into the television business, I did everything because I didn't know what I wanted to do. So
right.
Try a little bit of everything and see what sticks, and see what you want to do, what you're good at, what you're not good at, and don't be afraid to ask for help. You get to be,
and don't be afraid to fail, because some of your failures will be your greatest insight on what not to do wrong the next time. So failure is okay.
Well, that's true. Like they say, one door shuts, another one opens. Just make sure that you get to that open door as quick as you can, and open it when you can and when you have that opportunity. And that's a lot of what we do here. And go back and look at our episodes. We try to keep it light. We try to have fun with our guests, whether they like it or not. We do have fun, and get some good information out there that people can actually take home. I kind of call it wisdom to go, and you can use that in your daily life and stuff. And so Kevin, you've been around this business now for, I think, 24 years, and
correct.
You've seen it all. You've seen it, when it started taking on steam. You were not originally in this business. You reinvented yourself, and look what this has turned into now. And you've made a lot of really great friends and got some great information, and you shared all that, brought us into this industry as well. And I know that was a big risk bringing me into it, so I appreciate that as well.
With pleasure, John. I did want to say it is, I think you covered it at the beginning, but not an ad-supported show. So if you're watching us on YouTube, smash that subscribe button. This way, every time we put up a new episode, you'll get notified when the episode's released every Tuesday. If you go to Facebook, Internet Traffic Kings, like the page there. Or obviously Apple Podcasts, rate us 5 stars. You can listen there, or Spotify. I covered it all.
That's good. And in fact, Kevin, if you forget the name of the show, you can just look down at your new T-shirt as well.
That's true. Yep, you're right. Okay. Yep. Okay. Yep. It's all spelled right too. Okay. All right. We're good.
Awesome. Hey, Kevin, you know what time it is right now. It's hot seat time, and we're going
Oh,
to
nice.
it as well. So
Go
hopefully
for it.
you got the smoke-free pants on today, because we're going to throw you in that hot chair and pull the lever on you and
Go
ask you
for
some
it.
questions. Is that okay?
Sounds great.
Okay, well, great. We get these questions, and they come from all over the world. We've gotten questions, from Asia. We've gotten questions from India, questions from Morocco, and right now we're gonna get a question from your home state, which maybe is a bit too international as well. That's what we're talking about, California. And what Alice writes is, she said, "What are the best campaigns that you've ever done, ClickFather? What are the most memorable, and why do you think they worked?"
Interesting. Well, the way I got into the business was I owned a wireless store in Las Vegas, and we ended up marketing pagers, beepers, right? That you could sell, that were free to the user. They just paid for the unit, and that was it. And then the person that called in paid a small nominal fee to send that page. So that's how we got into the business, and that was a hugely successful campaign. Over the years, gosh, John, we've done, ringtones back in 2002, I believe. That was really big. And it was more so that we pivoted because ringtones were big, horoscopes were big. I put the two together and did a ringtone horoscope type offer. And at our peak, we were doing 250,000 installs per day on ringtones. So it was, pretty significant. And over the years, we've just evolved into all different types of products and launches. If you go to rapidresponseonline.com, our main homepage, you'll see we've got a whole timeline of our history and all the different campaigns. I mean, we were one of the first companies to launch Spotify, Blockbuster Video, when they were big. A lot of these brands, we played in those arenas, and they were fun, and it was all pre-startups and things like that. So that would be, again, my end would, or my answer would be, go to Rapid Response Online and take a look at our timeline, and that'll give you everything.
Awesome, man. That's great. We're going to now jump in the magic bus and cross the United States here. We're going to drop down in Atlanta with a question that comes from John. It says, "How do you keep up with the current news and trends in the online marketing industry? Because it's blown up now."
Yeah, so I'm a part of quite a few different groups, quite a few different Skype groups, number one. Another good source is stackthatmoney.com. I've been a member there for 6 years, 7 years, as long as they've been in business. It's just keeping with the relevant news that applies to you. So join the groups that are directly applicable to what you're doing. I mean, it's very easy to get lost in all the noise out there. And if you're doing affiliate marketing, you join every affiliate marketing group, you'll have a bunch of junk on there. And it's just going to waste a lot of your time, which is, one of the most precious things is time. So I would just be focused on what you're looking for. And sometimes I'll join groups and then I'll unjoin them if I don't feel that the content has any value for me. Kyle Solarud, who we had on one of our shows, he's got a Google ad strategy one that's really good. So for my Google AdWords business, I enjoy, reading the post on there and case studies. So for me, I look for value. So if it's providing a value to me, great. If it's a bunch of banter, then I wait for a show to do that.
I get so excited every week when we see who's going to be on our guest list here. And this is a guest list, is one that, of course, is the 5 stars that we talk about here. And of course, she's 5 stars and she's sparkling today. And we're certainly glad to have her on the show. We're talking about Jennine Rexon of Rex Direct. And I'll tell you, it's always a pleasure to chat with you. What have you been up to, and what's shaking? What puts that smile on your face?
Well, I thank you very much for having me on this show. I absolutely love our industry and have been a part of it for nearly 20 years. So one of my most exciting things I love to talk about, honestly, is work and what we do and how we do it and why I love it so much. So this is a perfect opportunity to share why I think all those things, and why I think this is a phenomenal forum for us to get some positive news out to the world, especially now, about our industry and how successful we can make our clients.
Well, that's the funny thing, Jennine, because one of the reasons you were one of the guests that I really wanted to have on is because you've already been doing this working from home for quite some time. So yes. Have I, and doing it successfully. So I think right now, as people are transitioning to understand what they have to do to make the change. Because
Mm-hmm.
somebody that's been in an office for 20 years, it's kind of tough. I've spoken to quite a few people that are like, well, I just can't get used to it. They can't separate their home from their work life or what have you. So,
and for me, it is part of the excitement of this industry. When I think about what I'd rather be doing, when I consider the work-life balance that I have with an internet marketing career, it is exceptional. There's absolutely nothing that compares. And I've thought about it, but I can't find anything else that compares. The fact that I've been able to be involved in raising our 4 children actively and run a successful and grow a successful business with some phenomenal people from all over the world, nothing could be better. Really, nothing can be better.
That's great. What did you do before this, Jennine?
I worked as a management consultant for PricewaterhouseCoopers. So I was involved with Vito, my business partner. We worked together on building technology for Fortune 500 brands.
Oh, wow.
So I came from a technology background, and I think for me, that's another reason why this industry is so well suited. I have a technology background, I have a business background, and I also have a lot of creativity. I actually have 1 degree in architecture. So I have a real eye for design and color and layout. And I think the mix of technology and business and creativity is really what can make you a superstar.
Well, we were talking last podcast with Matt Frary of Smarter Chaos about influence marketing. And I was explaining how it's an art and a science when you're doing your match, right? It's not just technical. There's got to be the art part of it as well, where you are creative and you're creating, whether it's a creative or it's a pitch or it's a script, so that it matches and resonates with the audience. So yeah, that's probably my funnest part of the job as well, would be the creative part of it.
Yeah, I completely agree. I think it's certainly, as a leader, it's good to have a pretty well-rounded suite of skills.
Right.
And then once you have a foundation, to be able to bring specialists in for each one of those skill sets. But the fact that I can speak to every person within the company within their language is, I think, an asset in and of itself.
Absolutely. I agree.
That's awesome. And we just want you to know how much we love you, that we've got a special guest that we're going to bring on the show for you here. Let's see if we can see our special guest here.
No, not really.
Oh my goodness, I'm honored.
I'm going to make sure that you know just how much we love you as well. So
thank you very much.
Oh, so that's awesome. We tried it.
Was that a piñata, John?
What's that?
Was that a piñata?
Pinata.
Oh, okay. Are you emceeing a party after this?
I'm doing a quinceañera after this.
You are? Okay, I thought so. Okay. That's what I thought.
That's awesome. So, working remotely, just like you, Kevin, typically when we're in our offices or in our studios and stuff, we could do face-to-face and all that stuff. When you're doing things remotely, you've really got to be a good communicator as well. What do you use for your communication skills, Jennine?
We actually don't do a lot of face-to-face meetings, ironically. It seems to be the trend now, but I like the space that we have as a result of not even speaking face-to-face. So we use a tool predominantly internally called Sococo, SOCOCO.com. And it's a virtual office software that allows us to chat internally as well as do conference calls. And we each have our own office and our own little avatar. And since we implemented this technology a couple of years ago, it's really, really helped create a sense of community and foster better communication among the team members. Prior to that, we were just using Skype. Now Skype is used predominantly for communication outside of the company. Sococo can integrate with Zoom. It can integrate with Slack. It can integrate with a lot of other pieces of software to increase its usability. But the main features that we use are predominantly within Sococo. So between that and all the other technology that we use to communicate across the team, it really hasn't been an issue. And in fact, I prefer having the space to be able to think and be able to do my own thing without having someone necessarily looking over my shoulder. So that's the way I like to work. So that's the way we sort of treat the people that we work with. We don't look over their shoulder. We work very much towards goals and deadlines, and then we work towards those goals and towards those deadlines. So if you want to work from 9 to noon and then you have to go to the doctor until 2 and then come back and work until 5 and then put your kids to bed and then work from 9 till midnight, if that's what it takes to get it done, that's fine with me. As long as you're available when you need to be available for scheduled meetings or what have you, then there's a lot of flexibility that we offer. And I like to work that way.
Awesome. So I think that now so many people are getting forced into that. You kind of did the reverse direction. You actually made that a staple of your company and moved into it that way. So I guess everybody's kind of they're doing the Rex thing now in your footsteps.
Yeah, I was sort of embarrassed to tell people in the beginning that I worked from home and everybody else worked from home, but now it's like the cool in thing to do.
It really is. I mean, yeah, even a lot of the big companies, even Oracle's not opening up their offices till at least January of next year. So, and I think what's going to happen, Jennine, is you're going to see a big increase in productivity as people are getting more comfortable. So I think at that point, and I've seen it. I've seen a lot of corporate, even our Google reps. We spend quite a bit with Google. Our reps are answering me at 11 o'clock at night. That never happened before.
Right. Yeah.
We were getting answers during business hours, and that was it, Monday through Friday. Now I'm getting, I'm doing Zoom conferences with them, at off hours from their living room. So it's.
That being said, it's not for everyone. And it's not for all businesses. So there are, of course, advantages and disadvantages, and people need to work out whether or not those outweigh each other and what's going to work for them longer term. But I am hoping that this forced condition creates new opportunities for people to work from home or to have a more balanced lifestyle. I know in general, even though we haven't stopped working as a result of the pandemic, we have slowed down. A lot of our clients have forced us to slow down. Right. And I think that there's something to be said about going at a more normal pace, because as you know, in this industry, it's up and it's down and it's 150 miles an hour at all times. And I'm hoping that having this flexibility in their work schedules or not having to commute an hour or two a day will give people the time that they need to relax a little bit.
I think to further on your comment about working from home, it's having a dedicated space as well, right? Like I watched an interview from Evan from Hyper Target, and he talked about how he converted his garage as of late.
Really?
And literally he said he locked out where you can't enter the house from the garage. He's got that door all locked, so he literally goes in and out from the garage so that nobody can disturb him. You do have to, at least in my personal opinion, have that balance where you can have your home life and your business life separate. Like
absolutely.
My Malibu house, I've got a guest house that I work out of that's 15 feet from my main house, but I'm still in my office. If I want to go say hi to the kids or what have you, I'll walk into that house, but not for them to come in and.
Well, I don't have a Malibu house, but I do have well-trained children.
Well-trained children, yeah. I might trade you for that.
Since I've been doing this since they're born, they know that when mommy's in the office, that not to disturb mommy, so to speak. So well-trained children is another
that's good.
Less expensive option.
Yeah, there you go. Right.
I have that same rule in my office as well, too. So.
Yeah, but in terms of creating spaces, my office is a dedicated space within the house. But interestingly, I prefer not to work on the weekends unless I have to. And I try not to even go near the office. I need a break. I need my downtime. I work my butt off during the week, and then we need some downtime. So it's interesting when you work at home how I find that even going into that space, that workspace, doesn't work for me when I'm trying to have that relaxing moment.
Right. No, that makes sense.
Well, that makes sense. And we want to thank you so much for taking the time to bring us into your office as well and share the information with you. You're always a breath of fresh air and stuff. And we certainly hope that you'll be back on the show again. If our listeners want to get in touch with you, give them some ideas of what you can discuss with them and how they can get in touch with you as well.
Sure. I mean, being experienced with managing a virtual business. If anybody has any questions or thoughts or ideas about how they can potentially improve theirs, feel free to reach out on Skype via RexDirectNet is my Skype ID. That's probably the best way to reach me. And of course, if you're looking for leads, calls, or traffic on lead generation, that's really what we specialize in. We own our own properties and have been doing it for a really long time. Our focus is always on the pursuit of the perfect lead, and we're constantly implementing our own technology and our own proprietary processes to get our clients to that point. So anyone that's looking for great calls, looking for great leads, ways to monetize their sites, because we own some ad serving technology as well. We're very technology focused and technology enabled to make our own businesses efficient as well as our clients.
Great. Well, that sounds awesome. We want to thank you so much for being our guest here as well. And in closing, just remember, dinosaurs rock.
Absolutely. T-Rexes in particular. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you so much.
Fun. And
Thanks,
I'd love to be back to talk about other subjects.
Well, of course, with all the stuff that's going on the internet and the world out there as well, sometimes you need a smart guy in the room, and certainly Kevin and I are not those smart guys in the room. We've got the big dog who's smarter than the average cat. He happens to be Bennett Kelly with the internetlawcenter.net. Bennett, welcome back, man.
Welcome back. Woof woof to you guys. We've got a lot of interesting things going on. Should I just jump in it, or do you have any questions first?
I think you probably should. We kind of are kind of following you. You know, you gave us a little heads up on the CDA 230 Act, and maybe you might want to embellish that a little bit and give us
it's
some
one of the underpinnings of kind of the internet today. It's called CDA 230, which is an abbreviation for the Communications Decency Act. And Section 230 says that websites will have no liability for basically third-party content. They won't be treated as publishers. So when I write on Facebook or Twitter or my comments on any article, the host of that platform is not liable for what I say. I am, of course, but they are not. And the other thing is they're not liable. They wanted to encourage people to moderate those forums and sites. They cited forums, these are good. Let's have robust debate. And so, but we're not going to make you liable for moderating them, because we want you to use, make efforts to kind of eliminate some things. But it's up to you, because these are private forums, what you do. So that's come into focus in a couple of ways. One is a humorous way, and just remind you of how it works. Twitter just recently was successfully dismissed a lawsuit brought by Congressman Devin Nunes of the Fresno area here in California. And there's an account, one called Devin Nunes's cow and one called Devin Nunes's mother, and that routinely make fun of Devin Nunes. And he's actually very thin-skinned and sued the cow and his mother, fake mother, and as well as Twitter. And the lawsuit against Twitter was thrown out because Twitter has his immunity, right? Because of CDA 230, and since it's a cow, maybe some of the Food and Drug Act, I don't know. But in any event, but at the same time, ever since Trump got labeled by Twitter for some of his actions, there's been calls by some conservatives to amend CDA 230 to actually impose a requirement that they exercise good faith in moderation. And one bill was recently introduced, which probably won't go anywhere, but it would create an incentive to sue over it, creating statutory damages and attorney's fees if the moderators didn't act in accordance with published principles. And so if you have that kind of setup, the fear is you'll have one of two things. They'll either not offer these forums, or the second thing would be you would just have no moderation. So all type of garbage and stuff will get on there. And this puts them in an awkward position because the European Union actually has certain rules requiring the regulation of hate speech. and hate content. For example, in Germany, if you post something, from the Nazis, it has to be removed like within hours. And so it's kind of a tension going on. But I don't know, I don't think anything's going to happen anytime soon. But it's really become a hot debate over, should this be changed? What is the responsibility of the platforms to moderate content on their sites? Particularly since there was all the allegations about the 2016 election, the use of it for disinformation on COVID, as well as the proliferation of hate groups.
So how does this compare to the DMCA Act?
Well, one DMCA, that was by Village People, but
no, that's one. No,
Sorry,
so the DMCA.
Exactly. So next time that comes up, you're going to be humming. No, so DMCA. I always tell people, the internet is really good about copyrights. People, not so much. And so CDA 230 is about people, and basically says that you can do whatever they want, regulating people. Copyright, no. And so DMCA says basically, young man, are you listening to me? And and then it says basically, if you have someone posts copyright protected material on your platform, and I'm the owner, I can. You have to give me a procedure where I flag it, and you have so much time, a reasonable time to remove it.
Right.
Or you can be liable. So basically, it creates them a safe harbor. I'm not going to be liable for third-party content, and including copyright, as long as I adhere to these procedures on copyright.
Right.
Well, does that mean then, can I take videos off of YouTube, if you will, and use them on my television shows?
So there's a perception that if it's on the internet, it must be free to use, and that's just not true. And that's partly why you have DMCA. So that stuff can be removed. And if you put stuff up that's copyright protected, you're going to be you could face a lawsuit, but definitely it's going to be taken down, or likely to be taken down through the DMCA process. And the thing is to remove that perception that just because it's on the internet, it must be free to use. Now there's a whole notion of digital, the Creative Commons, and that you can use certain things freely, as long as you give attribution, or there's different levels of requirements, and depending on how the author specified. So there's a whole lot of sites that have free content that you can go to, and then in addition, there's public domain. You can get stuff from government websites or elsewhere, and that stuff is free to use.
Well, great. So I guess the big thing is that just know that be careful if you're going to use something that's not yours. Call somebody like yourself, or research as heavily, or you may be getting a rather nasty phone call from somebody.
Yeah, well, they'll probably send a letter, but yeah, the nasty part, yes.
That's true. So speaking of nasty, Kevin, any last minute thoughts for Ben?
Yeah, definitely. No man does it all by himself. I said, young man, put your pride on the shelf.
Oh, so now we're going to get into theme songs for our next shows.
Absolutely.
So
better than a word of the day.
So you got to dress as which one you got to dress as? The Indian or the police, or
probably the cowboy.
On a steel horse I ride.
That's right.
All right.
Anyway, hey, listen, a lot of things going on out there. Don't do it by yourself. You've got the safety net here. We call him the big dog. You can reach him at B. Kelly at internetlawcenter.net. Any last minute thoughts that you might have, dog?
Bow, wow, wow, yippee-o, yippee-yay. Thank you.
And so stay tuned for our next episode. Once again, we will let the dog out. We're talking to Bennett Kelly. Thanks again, Bennett.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Happy
Bennett.
4th, everyone.
You too.
Cut.
So,
all right.
hey,
when you're all set, we can do the close it out and open it.
Can you cut out Bennett's Happy 4th, because this is going to air
yeah,
on the, I don't know, the 14th or something.
I'll make a note of that.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah, it's going to air on
Any
Bastille
references
Day.
to Matt Frey that are not supposed to be in there. Just kidding.
Yeah. So, okay. Yes,
That's
right.
good.
Okay.
Well, from the last show anyway, you know.
So we're going to do the open and the close. We could do the close right now if we want to,
Sure.
and do things you should know if you want to, Kevin, because we didn't have any questions, or do you want to just let Bennett go and do the open?
No, I mean, Bennett can do a close. I can do a close, and we can do that closing segment. Then you and I can go back in and do the open.
Okay, that sounds awesome. Then so I will count us in 5, 4, 3, 2. Well, this has been a great show. Gosh, Kevin, you just keep coming up with the great guests and stuff. But tell us in your own words, things that we need to know and things we should know, but more so than that, things that we gotta know.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing, my biggest message this week is stop watching the news because it's a lot of sensationalism, unfortunately, the way the media is portraying everything, and it's fear mongering. I personally don't watch it, and I don't think it's good for anybody to be in a positive mindset or to be in a business mindset to worry about all the different happenings. I mean, I get it's okay to understand what's happening in the world, but unfortunately, right now, there's nothing good. So focus on good things. Take that time to improve yourself, to read, to do things that are better, and and be kind to everybody.
Well, I think that's a good point. I was a newscaster in LA for 13 years, and so I understand how to read the news. You're smart enough to understand how to read the news, but most people out there, it's a thin line between propaganda and brainwashing. And just make sure you do the research on that. And when you're doing the research, research your own life as well. And Bennett, tell us some things that we should know, and tell us something that we got to know.
Well, one thing you should know is there's a lot of, continuing what we were talking about CDA 230, there's a lot of pressure now being applied to Facebook. A lot of advertisers are either suspending or even pulling out from Facebook. Big names, Coca-Cola, Ford, and it could reshape how social media is in the future. We just don't know. This is still early in the game.
Right.
What you should know in talking about content and how to get without violating people's copyrights, there's a great website called Pixabay, and its images are free, and they have video too. So if you want to get your virtual background, you can do that.
What's it
just
called,
go
Bennett?
to Pixabay. I think it's just PIXABAY.com. And it's fun to play there. And you can get your free images and video, and
royalty free. That's great.
Yeah.
Well, that's good. Well, thank you so much. And I want to thank our audience for tuning in. As always, it's great. We love to get the mail, and we love to have you guys check in with us. Just a reminder that this podcast is non-sponsored, and you can support us by going to internettraffickings.com. Also, give us a 5-star rating. That would be awesome. That's where Bennett puts up his 5 stars if he's paying attention. And you can do that on
He's
Apple
just a little slow today.
Well. And see us on Spotify, and of course, go to our YouTube channel. You can see our smiling faces on video as well, broadcasting here from the studio inside fabulous UNLV. I want to thank our executive producer, Kevin DiVincenzi, for being with us. Great guests, Kevin, as always.
Yeah, thank you so much, John. It's been great.
Well, it's been awesome. And we're going to have more coming up here. So on behalf of all of us, to all of you, I'm the Big Fabu, John Fondi, and we'll see you on the next episode of Internet Traffic Kings.
Cut.
This bobblehead night.
Oh, yeah.
All right.
Okay. All right. So thanks, Bennett. That was
Yeah.
awesome.
Thank you, Bennett.
And,
Thanks, Bennett.
You're very well versed in village people, Kevin.
Well, no, I'm well versed in having 3 screens, so I can pull up multiple things while we're talking and have everything ready to go. It's great.
It's true.
I don't know if you've ever heard the lawyer Ian Bellin.
No.
He's pretty big in this space. He actually written a treatise on it, and just for shits and giggles, he was giving some very dry talk at a conference, and on DMCA, and I just said, well, what does this have to do with Village people? And it just totally threw him off.
Oh, that's great.
So I don't know why my screen keeps disappearing. Obviously, it's something on my end, so I have to figure that out.
By the way, Bennett, that's not your screen. That's an Etch-a-Sketch, and you have
There you go.
Thank you very much.
Anyway.
All right,
I finally
John,
got a complete square, though.
there you go. Let's
Okay.
do this open, John, and
Yep. Let's go backwards.
All
All right, I'll see you guys later. Have a great 4th.
hey, thank you so much,
Thanks,
Benny.
man.
You too.
Bye.
Okay, so we're going to basically do our regular open.
Yes.
We'll banter a little bit, and
You
then
have 2 Q&As to throw at me.
yeah, I'm just going to surprise the hell out of you with.
Oh yeah, wow.
Q&A. So I've got to get ready for that. So
Mhm.
we are recording, and we are going to do this show in 5, 4, 3, 2.